Hello and welcome back to another episode of Eatin Cheap. This episode is going to be tattertot casserole. This dish is going to run roughly $10 to $15 for 3 or so people. What you're going to need is, of course, a bag of tater tots. You're going to need meat, whatever kind, whatever type you want. In this specific case, I have ground beef and bison, 2 pounds total. Then I also have queso cheese. I have white and yellow. I have big jar of Rotel and some Fiesta blend cheese. And that's just to give it a nice big variety of flavors. So step one, as always, cook the meat. We also have the oven going at 350. Whenever we get everything all together, we will be, of course, cooking it in the oven. Just like most of the other dishes, you want to make sure that there is absolutely no red left in the meat once it really gets going. And of course, you want to season it just a little bit after you're able to break it all apart. In this specific case, I forgot to thaw out the meat. However, that is perfectly okay, because if you just throw it in the microwave for a couple minutes, then you'll be able to at least be able to break it apart. I don't suggest microwaving it if you're not going to use it pretty immediately, because that can lead to basically cross-contamination, because then you'll have cooked bits in with uncooked bits, and then you'll start having, whenever you actually do go to cook it, you'll have some parts that are going to want to cook a lot faster than others, which means that you'll have uncooked parts mixed with cooked parts, mixed with burnt parts, and it just becomes a real big problem after a while. So we're just going to get all of this mixed up and seasoned, and what we are going to season it with this round: thyme leaves, garlic salt, and oregano. I'm not going to put any onions in it this time. Personally, I love onions, but I'm not the only one eating it. So once all of this is nice and small and busted apart, then we'll start seasoning. And just get rid of that big chunk right there. And that chunk there. Alright, that's all the real big chunks. So now we can start seasoning. And of course, everything is just kind of to taste. Don't use a whole lot of thyme, especially if you're not having as much meat as me. Oregano you can go a little heavy on. It'll be a nice aromatic later. And the garlic salt, I like to go real heavy on. I'm not going to go as heavy as I would normally like, because as I mentioned, I'm not the only one eating it. I'm going to go ahead and put these up. Garlic salt. thyme leaves, oregano leaves. Oh, I am going to put a little bit of onion, just not much. And then, of course, we're just going to make sure that it gets all nice and chopped, and make sure that we get to the point where there's no more pink. We're getting to the point of finishing. We're not too far away. Alright. Everything is no more pink. So, I'm going to turn down the heat. And it seems that I have run out of paper towels. So, good time to say, because normally I would say drain it inside of some paper towels so that it's easy to dispose of. But, oh no, you're out of paper towels. Maybe, your cat got up on the counters and tore it up. Or you just simply forgot to buy more. Well, one thing you can do is, remember that jar that I have for the grease? Well, you can take your jar and you can take a colander. Fortunately, this jar fits this colander exceptionally well. And just try to dump it in that as well as you can. Let it drain slowly. That way it doesn't get all over the place. Make sure to scoop it just little bits at a time. Until you feel like you've gotten all the grease out. And then, after it's done draining, just like that, put her back on the heat. Seal up your jar, because it's probably going to stink a bit. And a couple tosses just to make sure that there's not a whole heck of a lot of stuff going on that we don't want. We're going to put in our cheese sauce. And I have the type that are pull tab open right here to make things a little bit easier. And we're just going to get her in there. A little bit of nacho cheese sauce. So it'll honestly almost feel more like you're making nachos, but that's okay because that's the flavor we're going for right this moment. And we'll just get all that liquid. Nacho cheese is the same thing as liquid gold in my book. Nacho cheese is a very happy thing for most dishes to me, especially ones like this. I'm going to crank up the heat just a little bit, put it on about a medium. And we're basically just going to make sure that all of this meat is incorporated into the cheese so that nothing tries to fall apart too horribly. Make all of it super sticky. And then turn off the heat. And we're going to take our, as always, aluminum foil wrapped. I personally, in this case, have a 13 by 9 pan. And it's not exceptionally deep. So, we're going to put down a layer of tater tots. And we're going to want that layer to be pretty flat. So if you have any left over, it's alright. Just grab another pan, pour the rest in there. Even if it doesn't fill the whole pan, that's fine, because most of it's just going to go in this first pan anyway. So now, we're just going to pour this over up into the tater tots. And we're going to try and spread it somewhat evenly. Because once it starts baking, all of that cheese is going to want to fall into the cracks. Had some left over, so I made sure to put it in the other pan. That one is going to be a lot thicker with the meat and cheese than the first, because I didn't have enough tater tots to fill the whole pan, which is fine. And then top it all off with the taco blend. And you can put it on as thick or thin as you want. I am putting it on rather thickly just because I am absolutely obsessed with cheese. Cheese is beautiful. That's the only word for it. Cheese is a beautiful substance. And quite frankly, even with all the recognition it does get, I think it deserves more. So, now that we've got that all together, nice layer of each item, we're just going to pop her in the oven for probably 25 minutes. And now that it's in the oven, about 25 minutes at 350, we'll come back and check on it when that time's up. Alright, the time limit has been reached. It's been in the oven about 25 minutes, so let's go get it out of the oven. Alright, and this is your finished product. I did do one with and one without the Rotel. There's the one without. I mainly did the one with Rotel on top like that, so that it would have a little extra color to it. As you can see, it's just yellow and then it's red and yellow mixed together. Some of the spots becoming a little bit more orange. And like I said at the beginning, this meal altogether, $10 to $15-ish, depending on, you know, the type of meat, depending on how much cheese you want to put in it. So, this has been Tater Tot Casserole on Eatin Cheap. Remember, if you liked it, what you see, if you want to spread the news, share with all your friends, subscribe, then you'll be able to see all of my content faster. You'll know your updates. And also, I will be trying to do this every single Wednesday, so that will also help you be on the lookout for everything. And we'll see you next time on Eatin Cheap.